What is that? Hello, hello, hello. New Victory Gardening. Welcome. Evening after work gardening time. I thought I'd do a video kind of to talk about how to protect your plants, right? So you've gone through this effort, you put some plants in pots, you finally got started, you planted your garden, and lo and behold, you go out one day and you see that something has eaten or laid eggs in or trampled or destroyed your precious crop, right? Well, you can't eat food if it's gonna be destroyed before it gets big enough to be eaten. And so I wanted to run through today really quickly just some things that I've done that are organic or close to organic that'll just help you keep your crops until they get old enough for you to eat. And so let's take a look at them. What did that to my collard green? Why is my tomato plant's leaves turned upside down when this tomato plant is growing so much nicer? What's going on? And why is this kale plant withering away and dying and drying up when this kale plant here and this kale plant here are growing just fine, and I just took a harvest from them yesterday? And why is the leaf of my beautiful kale plant folding over on itself? What's going on? So there's some things that are just gonna happen, and you may have a different set of things that are happening. That's okay. It's just important to get out and look at your plants and see what's going on with them. See if they're healthy, see if they're stressed, see if there's something bothering them. And so I've just shown you some things that are very common in my garden. I deal with them on a year-to-year basis most of the time, and actually say last year was a great year because I didn't have to deal with any issues like that. But more often than not, if you garden any length of time, even if it's in pots, you'll be dealing with something that comes along. And so what you have to do is look at your plants and kind of see what is bothering them. Like, just take some notes, take some mental notes, maybe take a picture, and there's often resources that you can use to help you determine what you need to do to keep your plants viable. And so let me show you. You look at these products here, these are kind of create the foundation for just protecting your plants from a variety of different little creatures, insects, birds, whatever it may be. Butterflies that may come into your, moths that may come into your garden and want to make a home there and make a meal of what you're trying to make a meal for yourself. So from left to right, we have a Castile soap, we have neem oil, we have BT, which is an insecticide based on the Bacillus thuringiensis. Did I say that right? Bacillus thuringiensis microbe that's naturally occurring. And then we have a product that has spinosad in it. So when you have beetle infestations, larger bugs that aren't necessarily chewing and eating, you would use something a little stronger. They're all considered to be organic though, and they're all something that you can use, and either the sun destroys them or you can rinse them off, right? That's key. Like, how is what you're spraying going to be destroyed and removed, or are your like precious foods going to be soaking up the stuff and then you're eating it later indirectly? And so it's an important consideration. And you know, I try to be thoughtful about it as much as possible, but I also try to be flexible, right? So you want to be flexible and save your crop and do what works, or else get your garden back into good shape. And sometimes you have to go outside of strictly organics to do that. Not everybody's organically farming. I may be the only one on my block trying to do it that way, and everyone else is using pesticides from the store. And so that's just a consideration, and you have to be flexible. Oh, by the way, I forgot one thing, and it may be the most important, but I'm walking around one of my garden beds, and you'll notice there's a red wire fence. See it there? An easy way to fence in a space that's pretty cheap and adaptable and adjustable is to buy square tomato cages. So you buy maybe 6 or 7 square tomato cages, and instead of wiring them in a square like you would for a tomato plant, you straighten them out and they'll connect end to end, and it creates a little makeshift movable barrier that will protect your crops from your pets. Sometimes the pets can be the worst, because as you know, if you do anything, your dog, that loyal trusty dog, will take ownership of it. And so this is an easy way. You don't have to do much working thought. You can go purchase it and then in the same day set it up, and it'll give your precious loved pets an idea that it's not best to come in here and dig up or eat whatever it is you're trying to grow. And I have to be honest, my dog loves vegetables. He will eat anything that I eat, and so it's pretty funny. All right, let's move on. So you got these things, and you need to dispense them one way or another, and the way that we do that is by spraying. And so I have a variety of sprayers that I use, and each one has its purpose, and so it's good to be thoughtful. Now, some sprayers you want to set aside. So if you're spraying poisons, if you're spraying herbicides, you don't want to use that sprayer to also spray fertilizers or any of these organic pest repellents. So you want to keep those things separate, put a break between organic and non-organic things, and put a break between herbicides and things used to control and kill plants versus fertilizers and treatments that are used to protect and or give nutrients to plants. And so you see I have a water hose attachment here. Works pretty good for a broad application of fertilizer and ground treatments. If you wanted to apply concentrates of ground treatments, this good old spray bottle, I always keep one of those handy because you could do spot treatments. And so one of the ailments of the tomatoes I showed you was actually spider mites. And so I can spray a soap solution on spider mites and it treats them quite well. And I just treat them right at the spot and check again the next day or two to make sure that they're gone. And it works really well. I have this 4-gallon backpack sprayer, which has been a workhorse for me, because about once every week or two I spray a Castile soap with water mixture, and that also has peppermint essential oil in it. And what that is just a deterrent. It's a very mild and gentle deterrent to all bugs. It burns their eyes. They don't like peppermint, and so it's a good way of clearing bugs out. And then if you spray it regularly, every week or every 2 weeks, you'll notice the difference in your garden. If you have a problem with aphids, I would recommend regular spraying of that Castile soap and water mixture, and you'll notice a dramatic drop in difference in the amount of aphids that are able to set up on your crops in your garden, especially leafy greens like kale, collards, and so on and so forth. It's funny because I once had aphids colonize and kill an onion plant, which is crazy because they're not even supposed to like to touch onions, but these must have been some special super aphids, and they came in and they colonized and killed an onion plant. And so you have to take the good with the bad, right? A general purpose sprayer I have and like to use is a 2-gallon sprayer. So if I need to do a quick spot treatment, or if I want to do some focus fertilizing, I use a 2-gallon or maybe a 1-gallon sprayer. I prefer electric because it's just an electric motor. You turn it on and it works, but you can use pumps. I'm not endorsing any brands. I'm just showing some of the differences. And then finally, I know it seems like a lot. It may seem like too much, but I'm telling you, and I'm serious. I'm telling you that the day that I got this 15-gallon sprayer with a diaphragm pump, I thought to myself, why did I not do this years ago? Because this sprayer here is made to spray, and all you have to do is hook it to a battery. And if I need to cover a larger space, like if I need to cover my trees and my garden, or if I'm trying to clear something out, so I want to make sure no bugs are anywhere in my garden and they move on to the next place, this right here has the capacity for me to come in one night and basically evict all of the bugs off of my trails and mulch, out of my garden and out of my trees, right? And so I try to do that at least once every 2 weeks, maybe once every 3, but it's like I have enough spray here in one night to just go get all the bugs out. And so one final consideration I'll talk about, this is just kind of an intro, is when you spray, some folks recommend you spray in the morning, some folks recommend you spray in the evening. I've always tended towards the evening for a couple reasons. With some of these organic sprays, the sun will destroy it quickly, and I want to give it some time to linger. So as bugs and insects and other things are settling down, I come, rouse them out in the late evening when the sun is low, and they have to move on somewhere else. So they'll move on and settle there. They're less likely to come back the next day, right? Also, it gives it a longer residence time. So if the sun is out, it's going to dry it and destroy it much faster than if you spray it on and you leave it overnight. You get the spray that you initially apply, and some of it lingers on to the next morning and can work in the morning as bugs are getting up and getting involved. And then by the time beneficials like bees and all those are out, the spray will be gone, dried up, and it won't affect them. And so I usually choose the evening, the late evening, to spray, and then I just observe. You have to observe and be aware of how it's working and if it's working. And it goes back to that first point I made about identifying what the problem is. So with that, why don't we revisit some of the issues that you might see and you might want to try to deal with. So my tomato plant with the leaves that are turned upside down. What's wrong with him? Well, I think this plant is just suffering from not enough water and making an adjustment. I brought this plant from a much cooler place, and so as it's getting established here, what I did was I applied mulch, a lot of mulch, and I make sure it's getting water, and then I'm gonna observe it and see if the plant recovers. And so it's funny, but the first thing you should look at is if your plant getting enough water. Before you start using sprays and taking other actions, check the watering situation. And I tell you right now, mulch goes a long way in helping create the soil environment that'll keep your plants healthy, and that'll keep a balanced water content. So, and that's what plants like, especially when it's hot. So I'm not really super worried. I may do some trimming and pruning of this tomato just to see if it responds. If it doesn't, I'll continue in my quest. If you see a hole like this and it's on the interior of a leaf, a lot of times that indicates that some type of caterpillar, worm, looper, something is eating your plant. And if you look at a plant and you see a whole section is eaten from the edge, like that bottom leaf there, so something came in and just almost ate half of the plant from the outside in, that's more of an indication that you have something like either a larger caterpillar or a grasshopper, locust, something like that, that's coming into your garden and eating. And so you want to be observant, especially in the evening time, to see if you can find them. A lot of times they'll go down in the soil during the day and rest, and then they'll come out when the sun's not out or when you're not out. Don't underestimate these bugs, that's for sure. They're pretty smart. So I spray it with the BT spray, and hopefully that'll help the plant to recover. And then sometimes I remove the leaves that have been eaten in hopes that the plant will be sparked to grow some new ones. And then once again, keep an eye on it. You may have to use the little stronger spray, but I will start in order with the Castile soap spray, which is a regular spray. That's not working. The BT spray. And then if the BT spray is not working, something a little stronger like the spinosad or pyrethrin, one of the stronger pesticides that are still considered organic. So there's a little process of elimination for you, and then I just observe. So we're looking at my kale plant, and it's got these marks. Now if these marks were circular and look like what I call kissing marks, little round kisses, that could be some type of stink bug, like a harlequin stink bug or a brown marmorated, some kind of stink bug, and you would use spinosad or some pesticide with those. For this plant though, the way it looks, and I'm going to keep an eye on the plant, looking in the soil and seeing if I can find any, it just looks like sunburn. So sometimes some of these plants with the sun here, it's so intense that it'll just cause these sunburn spots. And so I'd be looking to maybe give a little shade or cover, move this pot somewhere. It's the great thing about pots is you can move them into the shade or move them to a space where they get a little less sun, and see how the plants respond to that. And so that's what I would say for this plant, is making an adjustment because it's getting a lot of sun and the sun is causing it to dry up just a bit. Not an alarm. And also while I'm here, when you see your plant's leaves coil up or curl up like this, it could be a number of reasons. This one is looks like the sun is having an effect on it as well. But another culprit that does that, which unfortunately I had one here, but I already removed it. It was over on this kale plant over here to the side. But the culprit is often aphids. And so when aphids take up residence on your plant, this was the plant where it was. When aphids take up residence on your plant, here it is. See that? See that right there? So sometimes when aphids take up residence on your plant and they begin sucking juices, the plant's response, it loses pressure and the leaf will fold in on itself. Just like that. So you'll see a folded in leaf all of a sudden. You open it up and you'll see that it's full of aphids. This leaf, as you can see, doesn't have any aphids. It's because I already treated it with Castile soap and water spray about a week ago, and was able to get rid of the infestation completely and get them off of all of these plants. So now these plants are healthy. And actually in this one little pot here, I have enough greens to make a nice salad tomorrow. So I'm like looking at this pot saying, my salad's gonna come from this pot, right? New Victory Garden, where you at? I got a salad. Last but not least, sometimes you'll just see a plant like this. And to be honest, I cannot tell you what is going on, because all my other kales I have been eating from, and they have been working great and growing, and all of a sudden this plant here just turned, withered, and I don't know if you can hear, it's crispy. Can you hear that? So the plant basically has just gone south. It's turned, withered, and is dying. And so in this case, sometimes you just have to throw up your hands and say, you know, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to cure this one. And so I'll be removing this plant. I want to remove this plant before it infects the others. So I have a bed of healthy plants here. You see? So I got all these healthy plants, and I have this one sick plant. I want to get this plant out and uncover it, see if I can get any hints as to what happened, and maybe replant a different type of plant that may not be as susceptible to whatever disease, or just leave the space blank and keep a close eye on my other plants to see if they have any effects. It happens from time to time. You know, don't take it too harsh. That's why you plant a bunch of plants, and that's why you keep some of your, I have a couple extra transplants that I can use, so I might end up just using one of my extra transplants to try and recover. But it most certainly is an option from time to time that you have to take a plant out and get a diseased plant away from your other plants before it infects them. So just for your thoughts and consideration, look at this. See that? Yeah, something's eating this as well. That just happened yesterday. Looks like I'll be spraying Castile soap and peppermint, Castile soap and water today as well to try and keep some of these bugs away, or maybe some BT. We have to keep an eye. It's not bad. I got a lot of good leaves, but you see the thought process, the day-to-day care. You come out and you just observe the plants and see what's bothering them, and if they're healthy, it's all good, and if not, you know, just look at them and take an action. No pressure, just kind of keep trying until you find something that works. If you go to newvictorygardening.com, I provide a link to a really good pest management website where you can take pictures and try and find, based on your pictures, what is actually happening with your plants. And so once you do that, then it makes the diagnosis and treatment of the plant a whole lot easier. So don't forget, you're not alone. That's why we have the extension service. That's why we have the Master Gardener service. That's why we have folks like me who just make a video about it on any random day, just to keep the conversation going in people's heads. And to be honest, I learn a lot talking about it too, so it's never a problem to do. And so with that, wish you good luck. I think I'm gonna go ahead and spray that soap and water mixture because it's been a couple weeks. Take care, happy gardening. Oh, and by the way, please consider subscribing and like if you liked the video. Thanks, take care.